Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. We have a very special guest with us, the one and only Mr. Scott McKay, aka Patriot Street Fighter. It's interesting because this has been one that I've speculated for a while in the back of my mind when this would happen, this coming together, this happening, and God's timing was such that it is happening now during the holiday season. And Scott's been gracious enough to join us to have an in-depth discussion on all things going on in his world, observations he has about the geopolitical financial realm we're in, and many other things. So we will see where the conversation takes us. If you're new to the podcast, please do like, subscribe, and share. It helps the channel grow and others to gain in the knowledge you're currently being afforded. A little brief blurb for those of you who are not familiar with Scott. Scott ventured into the political arena in 1990. He spent 16 years in various political assignments, including grunt worker, campaign manager, campaign consultant, and Los Angeles GOP committee member. After 16 years, he was so disenchanted with the corruption in DC, he gave up his goal of public service and walked away from the world of politics altogether. He's been an integral part of the Patriot Street Team movement since the early part of this decade after COVID. And he has been an advocate for patriot rights, and he's been fighting the good fight of faith and constitutional realm. And so I'm very honored and pleased to have the one and only Mr. Scott McKay join us. Scott, how are you doing today, good sir?
I'm doing fantastic, but I'll get better. And it's great to see you, buddy.
You too, good sir. And Merry Christmas to you and yours up front.
Same to
Um,
you. Yeah,
Thank you.
exciting world coming at us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Scott, one of the first things to set the table properly and how you and I came together was through a mutual friend, as we know, Mr. Darren Miata, aka Mr. Trumptastic, who you got acquainted with at some of the events that he met you, and I was very blessed to know him for albeit too brief of a time, 3 years. And as you know, unfortunately, he passed a couple of years ago in July of 23, and so we had a chance to kind of break the proverbial bread of talking about that. If you would just indulge us a little bit about your experiences with Darren, how you got to know him, what you liked about him, and what was memorable in your mind about your happening with him.
Yeah, with Darren, I met him at I forget which event, Likely Reawaken America, I think it was. But what's memorable is I think we'd finished or were on tour, ending a tour in 2021, but late in the year. It might have even been January. It was either December, January. I can't remember. But we were in a parking lot. We parked the rig in a pickup in behind the Rio in Las Vegas. So we were way away from it's a massive parking lot. There were no cars within a mile really. But so one day here's this guy, me and my team are outside the bus doing whatever, talking, and this guy's walking across this very long parking lot. And walked up, introduced himself, and I said, "Come on a bus, let's hang out." He did. We just hung out on the bus a little while. Such a nice guy, just a great guy. It's the first time, I don't know if that's the first time I met him, or he might have reminded me that we had met in the past at one of the events. But we hung out for a little while, took some pictures, talked, and I was just very impressed with him getting on this battlefield and the work that he was doing. In fact, I was just heartbroken. And we hadn't had a lot of interactions, but I was heartbroken when you told me that he passed. I just couldn't even believe it. Young, healthy guy, just a great spirit about him. So I'm still really kind of thrown, off kilter because learning that he had passed away. There was some prices that have been paid in this battle in the last 5 years. We've lost some good people, and he certainly was one of them. And my heart certainly goes out to his wife, his family. But it's interesting because I hadn't thought about him for quite a while, and you mentioned it that day, and I remembered. And it's just interesting that it stands out in my mind, that visual of him walking across that very long parking lot, head toward bus. I'm like, yeah, this either guy going to throw us out of here or he's coming over to say hi. And he turned to come over to say hi.
Absolutely. That sounds exactly like something Darren would do and would have done. And I think in a way, Scott, it kind of warms my heart a little bit to know that posthumously in his memory, we're kind of keeping him alive with this discussion. I hope and pray that he would be happy with this, convergence in his absence. So we certainly remember him fondly. So take us a little bit from, if you can, in a condensed way, from 2021 to what you're doing now and what your main focus is at this point.
We 2021 when we ended those tours, the next couple of years, I continued touring a lot of the events that I was obviously speaking different places. After the Reawaken America tour, I think it was 2023. We were on that tour for 2 years every month. So I think that came to the end for me in 2020. Was this 2025? Yeah, 2023. So in the interim there, I had gotten behind the movement Tactical Civics to bring back the constitutional county grand jury to this country, the architecture that the founders put in place whereby we the people kept control of the country. That's changed obviously because they brought in everything representing, they brought in corporations representing everything, corporations masquerading as government, corporation masquerading as law enforcement, corporation masquerading as courts. And so they're all hidden behind this protective shield called, an LLC or whatever. And that means that they answer to the corporation. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the corporation, not to the people. And so we've gotten this thing's gotten so out of control. We can't get anybody inside these corporate structures to hold the other accountable because they're all working together. And having seen this in 2020 when I was doing a radio show, a compendium on tactical civics, bringing that back in the constitutional certified county, the certified county grand jury militia, which was intriguing to me. And that back in that time, that's how they structured this thing. That each county would have its own certified standing militia, and they're the law enforcement arm or the whatever, like a National Guard unit comes out and helps when there's disasters, whatever. But what they do is they carry out the will of the county grand juries. In that case, when we can't get remedy, um, then we the people, have the constitutional authority, legitimate authority to convene a grand jury among ourselves and present findings, render, serve warrants, render indictments, etc., and bring people who we feel have wronged the community of the country in front of a grand jury, and trying to bring that back. So there's movements like that from other organizations in the country. That grabbed me because as soon as I brought the founder of that on, and it blew up overnight. They hadn't gotten really any good traction, but the Patriot Street Fighter Nation is a very responsive, group of people in the country, and they got behind it 100%. So that led to what I call another warfare platform for Patriot Street Fighter. We have information warfare, we have economic warfare with Operation Tomahawk, and this is a whole different platform. And that's primarily what I focused on a lot, other than just speaking for other people. Yeah, it's been a very interesting couple of years post 2021.
Indeed, indeed it is. And thank you for all of your stalwart efforts, of course, both now and then. Scott, is there a singular, well, not singular, is there a primary focus or an issue that you're working on now that you think is important as we transition to a constitutional republic?
Yeah, what I've done to launch Patriot Street Fighter, and it wasn't really a launch, it was an accidental happening when I decided to put up, just go do a live stream. I was doing a radio show, but I had never done a live stream before, didn't know how that stuff worked. But I decided a week after the election, I was going to try to calm everybody down to help understand in 2020 that this stolen election was a part of a military operation. And so, when it was a huge move to the podcast world because people were learning the truth about what the world is really about, and its global power structure has been controlling the planet for a couple thousand years, a couple hundred, whatever. But that was a focus to wake people up. And then once the people were waking up in mass, a great awakening is underway. I kind of sort of veered into a different narrative or a mindset or a goal or focus. And that was from the spiritual side of the war. And that became very important to me. And, I looked at the architecture of the controlling structures on the planet and religion. The religious order has a very big play in that. We now know the Vatican and the crimes of the Vatican, the horrible stuff that came out of there, the child trafficking machines, and hiding the truth of our origin or our nature as a spiritual being, hiding all this information from us about who we really are as a in the angelic realm, a human being like ascending through spiritual dimensions in this angelic realm, working our way to our maker to fold back to our creator as one through this ascension track. And it's different than the common born again Christian narrative that I have and have had my whole life because I am a born again Christian since I was 14. But I could never be settled in my soul that we have all the answers. There's too many things after Christ walked this planet terribly wrong in the wrong direction. I'm thinking, how could that be? Christ showed us the way. Uh, well, obviously, when you're involved, when you're a major threat to this power structure, and Christ basically was very courageous, taking it head on to tell the world, look, stop listening to these people. It's a synagogue of Satan. God is inside. You need to go inside. You don't need to listen to these people in these buildings and whatnot. It's a personal connection with your creator. There's nothing in the Bible to build buildings and churches and control people and shove your mindset of what you think about religion, spirituality down other people's throat against their will, at gunpoint, all that crazy stuff. We don't think of these things because we're born into it. We're programmed to accept it, and we do. But I saw what's happening on the planet with a massive child trafficking machine run by the Vatican, Washington, D.C., criminal political network, the royal families around the country, Hollywood, big tech CEOs, all this crazy stuff that we've learned about. And I can't understand how this can be. So having studied divinity for 20 years and studying epistemology, quantum physics, metaphysics, all these things, trying to figure out what's the blueprint here while I'm here on this planet. Um, my soul was never settled, and so I went down other pathways. I had my journey, away, different tracks of belief in what I was taught spiritually or in the religious side. And I kind of landed in a place where I thought, these things that come to me are not out of, formal education. They come to me as an awareness. And I thought, this is what I have to, the message I have to bring to the people, because the idea that we're supposed to sit back here in this reality and wait for Jesus to come and save us when he already did. So I was young. I was told you've been saved by Christ's, crucifixion. He died for you, and you're saved. And when I was 14, I was told that you better become saved, a born again, saved, and that'll be your salvation so you can go to heaven. I'm like, okay, we better do that. So now I've been saved twice. And now I hear the world sitting back in our community waiting for Christ to come and save us. He's going to come down to the planet and save us from this shit show we've allowed to have happen. I'm like, yeah, that isn't going to happen because Christianity to me is a full contact sport. It's an action plan. It's a verb. It's Christ showed us the truth of this quantum realm that God created, and you work in concert with it. You work in concert with the nature of man, and you work in concert with the laws of the universe or the quantum physical realm of all existence, and things will work out. You can manifest anything. Work against it, life becomes tougher. And I just thought, learning and the craziest track to learn these things, the secret space program, whistleblowers, where I learned that we're far more powerful than we can imagine, and there are beings. This isn't a flesh and blood war. This is powers and principalities we're up against, and they have found a way to convince us for many thousands of years that we're just these lowly creatures on a planet who were born into sin, and my self-esteem is being whittled away my whole life because I'm born a sinner. I'm like, born a sinner? I didn't do anything. I just got popped into the world. How could I have sinned? Like, you're automatically a sinner. I'm like, that's BS too. God is all perfect. It's not going to create junk, right? That's nonsense to me. So I just push back on this narrative that we've grew up in this world. And it surprisingly resonated with people. It resonated with them. And I was happy because I felt like my responsibility is more about not just informing them of the reality of this planet that has captured all of us. It is that we need to stand up and step into our true divine power and put an end to this nightmare on this planet. So that's a lot of what I've been speaking about for the last 2 to 3 years, primarily, and shaking up the status quo, like rattling the order of the day, especially the religious order, and pointing out to people on some of the largest church stages in the country. I say it every time with a pastor sitting there. Religion is the single worst thing that has ever happened to humanity, because we're supposed to believe there are, you have the major religions, and you have the break off sects of 26,000 different sects of religion on the planet. I'm like, that is insane. We have one creator. We are all divine and in the image of our creator. We have extraordinary spiritual power, but our creator is going to throw that multiple religions at us. It makes no sense. As a parent with children, you wouldn't do that to them either. So all this stuff in my mind just came to me, and I thought, um, there's a reason why my soul's going this way. I guess this is where the battle is. And I've got to wake people up to the fact that you have a direct divine connection to your creator, and you need to allow your creator to divine into you, to download into your mind, your soul, the truth about who you really are. So you'd stand up and stop waiting for somebody else to fix the world, or to become a more spiritual person. It is 100% on us. If there is a place called heaven, we have to earn our way into it. And sitting in church on a Sunday, and living otherwise on the rest of the week doesn't earn you a trip into the promised land. It's right where you stand. Heaven or hell is right where you stand. And based on how you live your life, that's what you create for yourself. So, anyways, that's just kind of a thumbnail overview. I just, uh, I just believe in my heart and soul that when we as a species on the planet come to understand that what we were taught is that we're human beings having a spiritual experience. And the truth is, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, one of many thousands or hundreds of thousands, who knows, experiences we have in these lives, that help us, grow spiritually, kind of ascending up the a spiral ladder, spiral staircase. And that's been a primary focus, because I just believe that once the people see how powerful they are, they put an end to this satanic nightmare on the planet, and we can get back to rebuilding the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Scott. That was a lot a good stuff to process and take in, I'm sure, for myself and the audience. And you're right. It's about, excuse me, I've said this with other guests before. It's not about religion, it's about relationship. I always ask people, you and I talked about this offline. I'm just sharing a little bit for the audience. What is the singular difference, I ask people, that I've learned from my mentors, between religion and relationship? Religion's man's attempt to reach up to God, but relationships, God's innate ability to always reach down unconditionally to us. It's like his hand is like an extenuation. We just need to grab it and latch on to that. What you're talking about with getting to work in an action verb, I always take that as Matthew 25:15, the three men with the talents, right? Don't be the third guy in verse 15 that takes the one talent, buries it in the ground. Then when God came
Yeah.
back, he didn't just lose the talent. A lot of Christians omit the fact that the word actually says that the man got burned in a lake of fire. So God doesn't play about wasting our talents. You're absolutely right. And he gave us that gift of salvation that we don't have to there's nothing we can do to earn it. But at the same time, it's almost like a championship team or an athlete, right? In that getting to the top is one thing, maintaining it is another, not taking it for granted and getting complacent, I think is what I'm hearing you say. And I'm totally on board with that, because when you know what God has saved you from, you want to knock yourself out for him, is not in like a forcible way, but just in a gratitude way, because you realize what you've been spared from, the gifts you've been given, and as you said, what you've been wholly tasked to do while you have this time on earth. So, I think you're absolutely over the target there. Scott, what is, when you started this movement years ago, specifically the street team stuff I'm talking about, to present day
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter, yes, the Street Fighter
Yeah.
movement. Thank you. Yeah, when you started that movement years ago, as you look back then, and now you have some introspection, time is kind of a very interesting thing where we can go backwards and forwards and look at it perspective wise. Since you started the Patriot Street Fighter movement, what is if you had to, narrow it down to one takeaway that you've learned the most in this movement, what might that be?
that I've wanted the most,
Well,
or
the
what do you
thing that's
say?
the most meaningful or the most biggest takeaway you've had in this
Uh,
time you've been doing it. Sorry.
what is that? Obviously, we feel what we feel about the country, but as a whole, when we can slow down for a minute and listen to each other, meet people, listen to people, connect with them, you realize that the people are absolutely beautiful. I mean, yeah, there's bad people in the world in this country and things like that, but because I spend so much time on the road, either on tour, traveling to events, put myself out there among the people, I realize how special and beautiful all of these creatures that live in this nation are, and in the whole world for that matter. And when in the podcast world, most of us have, limited abilities to reach out and connect with our people. We sit behind the camera, we share with them all the things that we've been, digging up for many years, decades, and it can be inspiring to them, and we encourage them to be active, but I felt that until you're out there meeting the people, seeing them face to face, talking to them, uh, I knew that that alone would let folks know that this is real, number one. Number two, uh, I'm not what you think I am. I'm not this person you put on this pedestal. And I like being with the people because it makes them walk away from me and just saying, he's really not all that. He's just a regular guy. And I'm like, exactly. Stop looking toward other people. I mean, I believe we're taught to worship Christ and God. Now, this is counter narrative to what we're taught, so I can understand if it displeases people when I say it. But I've had my own spiritual journey. I've gone the same track we all have, but I could never get settled in my soul. I don't personally believe that our Creator needs to be worshipped. That guy's got great self-esteem. Same with Christ. I believe they want us to stop focusing outward, like giving homage here, here, and here. You want to give homage to our Creator? Get in the fight, get on this battlefield, earn your way into a spiritual vibration that'll take you into the place, where Christ and his consciousness, exists. And for me, projecting that message to the people and seeing it resonate. And I'm talking about everyday Christians, like, you know what, you're right. And I'm like, I believe I am too, because if not, it wouldn't settle in our soul. It wouldn't feel right in our third eye or in our intuition. And it's just been exciting to see people looking at organized religion for what it has become. We could have this debate all day with people everywhere, Christians that are dogmatically programmed just to buy in and believe in whatever. But we have televangelists like Swaggart, Jim Baker, all these people that are saying one thing in front of a TV, trying to get you to give them more money so they can live this massively wealthy lifestyle. But they're over here with prostitutes and all this other stuff. They got multiple jets like Kenneth Copeland here in Texas. Joel Osteen, all these huge material assets. And I'm thinking, wow, man, if Christ dropped his feet on the planet right now, he would raise these things to the ground. He would destroy your false empires because um, nothing wrong with being wealthy at all and doing well. But the reality is, when a guy like me, who was homeless, crippled, and penniless at a time from being pulled out of a grave from a catastrophic motorcycle crash, having no money, no disability check, and I'm downtown Dallas with the only $5 I got in my pocket, giving it to a guy who's on the street freezing and getting a blanket out of the back of my Jeep and giving it to him to help him keep warm, and because he walks all night long to stay warm and he'll sleep during the day. Those are the things that I do with nothing, virtually nothing. These people are living these unbelievable lives of privilege, and so many of them are just, just here, give us your money, give us your money. I can't sit back and watch that anymore. So that's what caused me to start pushing up against this structured mindset. Because again, if they're telling us everything about Christ's life, then we wouldn't be in this situation. And I just I'm really struck by how when I say these things that my Christian brothers and sisters are like, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, yeah, great. The message is I'm not smart enough and I'm not studied enough to be able to have this thinking and believe that, yes, I'm just right. No, it is coming from somewhere much more powerful and smarter than me. And if it's in my soul, then I'm supposed to share it. And it seems to resonate for me. That's the greatest or most exciting thing that I've seen about the movement, at least my involvement, is pushing back on this organized religion because we've come to realize the fraud of all of it, and that it's resonating with the people, and they're starting to say, you're right. Our spiritual ascension, which is the only reason we're here, is 100% on our shoulders, and how we choose to live our life, or think of the human species and our fellow man, stepping over him when he's down and out, or stopping and having true love in your heart for people, human beings that are living under this nightmare. Um, that has the vibration that has pulled a lot of people toward that message. So for me, that's probably the most prominent thing that I think about. That's very surprising to me. The fact that I can speak this way and not be beheaded by the flock. It's pretty exciting, because until we break this hold on our psyche by this religious order, that again has established everything, the military powers on the planet, the education system, all these institutions that are quote unquote, as we think, by design to help us unleash our human or spiritual potential. And then you learn all these institutions are here to keep a ceiling on us so we can't rise above, because we rise above, we don't have a need for them, and they know that. And then the spoils of the planet go away, and the spoils of the planet go to just a handful of multi-hundred billionaires that just continue to strip the world of resources while humanity is suffering all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate the perspective. And to your point, Jesus said, as you know in the word, whatever you do to the least of these, you're doing unto me, right? So we're exhibiting his heart when we serve our fellow people like that. Like, not a big deal or anything like that, but I was, coming out of a store, and there was a gentleman in the back parking lot. He was, struggling to put his socks on, and I just stopped to just talk to him, pray over him, ask him if he need anything. I happen to have it's not no big deal. So I happen to have a bottle of water, say, here, just, what else do you need? That type of thing. Or, just making the effort. I think it's just about making the effort. And, my experience got the best way to, worship the Lord is to, and again, we're human beings. We make mistakes. That's what we're born to do. But it's, get back up and get on with it, right? Don't feel sorry for yourself or stay wallow in that. Just keep, pushing forward. As you said, be in action, is live out what he came here to do, so that it wasn't in vain. And I think that's, in many ways what you have done through this movement, and many other aspects of your life. One of the just to respect your time, one of the last, in the audience as well, one of the last things I wanted to ask you today, as we kind of have this introductory podcast. Um, and again, I know there are a lot of things you could say to this, of course, but just to narrow it down to the bullseye, if there was one main thing message that you want to get across to, our respective listeners today, what might that be?
It is that all of you watching this, you may not understand it. I didn't most of my life. I had an inclination to this, but the reality is this: as a spiritual being on this planet, here for a particular reason, this is how special you are. You've been given a front row seat to the most amazing transformational leap that humanity is ever going to have in a spiritual sense. We are here for this transition on this planet into the next density or dimension, whatever you call it, into the angelic realm. This world is changing now. The right powers are now with the same mindset, who have a deep understanding of the occult, of all the symbolism of everything, buildings, language, cultures that keep us in this lower vibration. That's being dismantled. The whole global order, the old guard, is being dismantled as we speak. And it's very exciting, because now this beautiful planet we inhabit is more special than you can understand. And I won't get into the depths of these things, but even in the secret space programs where they've been interacting with highly intelligent, much older, intelligences than us, they've been interacting with them for a long time. It's starting to leak out. Even NASA's backed into a corner admitting so many things. If they're moving throughout, whatever you call it, space, they try to get as close to this solar system as they can, because there's this very special species on planet Terra, which is Earth, that is more remarkable than any species out there, and they just like to get within range because we just pass by, and this is where the human beings are. There's so much about us that's supremely special, and we never get to understand that. But the reality is you have far more power than you can understand, and I can assure you that you were meant to be here and do far greater things with your life than you've already done now. And that's not an accusation or a slight. It is to let you know you have been buried under a mountain of lies since the day you were born to keep you from being all powerful as your creator is. And it's why you're made in the likeness and image of your creator. And you sitting back waiting for life to happen to you or hit you. My Christian brothers and sisters, they can quote Bible verses all day long. They just don't quote the right ones and they don't act on them. Like faith without works is dead, period. Faith without works is dead. You have to spiritually ascend. You have to take control of that. And it comes from the vibration of love for humanity. There's no greater love that you can have than looking at your fellow man on this planet. Look at the suffering that's unnecessary and and want to do something about it. That's the power of the love vibration. It's outside of you, it's outside of your family where there's that certain love. It's to look at everybody else and say, why can't these people be happy and living a better life and wanting to do something about it. So many of you can't absorb this or understand it. Maybe some will, but I assure you, your capabilities to do amazing things in this world are unlimited. And and you're not here just to drink your share of the water, walk on your part of the sidewalk, and eat your share of the food. You were put here for all of us, put here for a specific reason, and that's to rise in our ascension process, like Christ did, into the angelic realms. And if you want to respect your creator, if you want to worship your creator, whatever you want to call it, that's how you do it. Stop wasting your time and stop wasting your life on everything that they taught us and programmed us to believe to be true. It's a lie. How do I know? I can tell you it's true as we're all sitting here. All of it is a lie. All of it. How do I know? Look what we're created by. Look what we are. Look how valuable we are that Christ came here and did what he did, showed us and went through that experience. Is it just because we're, just average, lowly, beings? No, we are that special. They've made us believe otherwise. And if you can start searching in your soul, I think meditation, prayer is one thing, meditation is different. Prayer, you're doing the talking. Meditation is you're shutting up and you're thinking your thoughts and you're allowing your creator to connect with you and guide you and your higher selves, your guardians, your angelic, guardian angels. You'll be infused with the truth. You'll know it by what it feels like because you'll feel it. And you do that and you start breaking out of the mindset of what obviously has not worked on this planet, certainly since Christ has left. You'll come to discover by the way it feels that you have true power. And I want to see people discover that and step into it because we change this planet literally overnight. When that wave hits the whole planet, we wake up, not just wake up to the Great Awakening. We're waking up to who we really are. Nothing's more exciting to me than that.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Scott. You hit the nail on the proverbial head perfectly. And then, of course, if people want to follow you and keep up with what you're doing, where can they find your work?
PatriotStreetFighter.com is where you can find work. It's hard to find out or land on something that has to do with me because there's a ton of fake sites, Patriot Street Fighter sites, social media, TikTok, Instagram. They're everywhere, and they're not me. They're trying to sell stuff. So if you land on one of those sites and there's somebody in whatever narrative or trying to sell you something, it's not me. My audience knows that's not what my operation's about. QFS accounts, donate to my orphanage in Canada, all that crazy stuff that exists in the world.
Yeah.
It's not me. It's not me. So PatriotStreetFighter.com, the links to my social media you can click on and find right there.
Great. And we will leave those links in the description and below the video here as well for people to peruse. Scott McKay, Patriot Street Fighter, and All-American man of the people. We really appreciate your time and attention. Thanks for being here today. It was really special. And hope you have a great rest of your day and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hopefully, we'll see you in the not too distant future.
Same to you, man. God bless. Much love to you and your family
Thank you, sir.
and all you folks out there.